we're going to be giving away one of these. This is the Synido TempoKEY 25, the same guys who made the TempoPAD, which has showed you how to connect to a looper. They've now come up with this, and this thing can actually do a couple of things that you won't find in other MIDI controllers at its price point. The keys are spring-loaded and lovely, and also velocity sensitive. With a built-in metronome and an OLED display, and your pitch and mod controls are capacitive sliders. The pads themselves are the same pads you find on the TempoPAD, so you've got 4 different curves of velocity depending on how hard you hit it, and you can program them. It comes in this really funky transparent purple color, others are black as well, and the keys are coated. They're UV coated to stop them from yellowing. The pads themselves are really simple, but they're actually got a couple of nice features, including 2 different colors for backlit. There's actually 2 banks of pads, so you can have this down as pads 1 to 8 and then 9 to 16. And there's 4 velocity curves, just like on the TempoPAD, so you can have them in different velocity curves. The little OLED display is really, really bright, and you've got this controller here, which is a limitless controller dial, and also a push to enter as well. You've got some controls at the bottom underneath the TempoPAD, like play, record, stop, go back, loop, which obviously connects to your DAW. On the back, we've got 5-volt DC in, and also we've got a sustain pedal, which is really, really handy for a keyboard of this size. Normally you don't get a sustain pedal. Some manufacturers take them out to make it a bit cheaper, and you'll have a sustain button. It's USB Type-C, and it's also MIDI TRS out, and they supply the 5-pin to TRS cable in the box. Also, it's got a really nice cable. It's a really chunky USB-C to USB-A cable, but they even supply you with a USB-A to USB-C adapter, so you can go USB-C to USB-C. Now, the other thing this actually comes with is a bag. It actually comes with all the stuff inside this bag, and it's got loads of additional stuff inside it. The power input needed for this is 5 volts at 300 milliamps. So you could actually power this through a power brick, or you could actually power this even with a paddle board with the right voltage. It weighs just 2.1 pounds. Of course, it comes with software, which is both PC and Mac, so you can control things like the CC numbers, program these up, the actual 8 dials, program up with the pitch bend, and so much more. So we're going to plug it into the Mac and show you what it can do, and stick around to the end and we'll show you how you can actually win one of these. So you plug the TempoKEY in with this lovely cable. If you're plugging it into anything that uses USB-C as its output, you can just go USB-C to USB-C with the adapter. If you're plugging it into USB-A, then you're going to need to plug it into power as well. But because it's USB-C, it can just run straight away. Now, the great thing on a Mac is that the actual software is in the App Store. So just go to TempoKEY, just search for TempoKEY, and you'll find it. And here it is. This is actually the software. It's incredibly simple. And all it does is it shows you what the pads are doing, what the keyboard's doing, and of course what all the controls are doing, and what the CC numbers are for MIDI. So as I move this up and down, you can see we've got this wonderful lovely light here, and then this snaps back to the center, whereas the modulation, as you move it and leave it, it stays where it is. The pads actually have 2 different colors, so if I do that right now, we're actually running on Logic, and we've just got a synthesizer up from Alchemy, and you can see it goes white there. You can actually have that change over if you want to. So for example, if we go to the pad bank and we change the pad bank over, you can see that's now orange, and we can obviously go up and step up. We've got 16 pads there. We've also got these 8 dials, and we've got a knob bank there, so we can go between bank 1 and bank 2. And again, on the software, you've basically got the A and the B there, so you can actually change what the CC number is, the channel number. It's really, really easy. The alternative you can do is you can say, well, PC or touch, so depending on what it's doing, and send that to the hardware. So once you send it over, it knows what it's doing. Now, a couple of things about the controls. These little controls here, they're actually set up as CC numbers to begin with, but instead of CC numbers, you can have them as MMC, apart from the looper button there. That is just CC. But then also, you can say whether they're momentary or they're toggle, which of course, if they're momentary, you'd hold it down to rewind or hold it down to go forward. Whereas something like, for example, play and pause, you'd toggle on and you'd toggle off. You see there's a little light there. Now, I haven't actually got that set up with Logic just yet. We've just got the keyboard up and running. So I press the button there, and then the pads are actually an octave down, so we can see that. We can actually see they've got C2 is there, so cool. Now, one thing I've got with Alchemy, if I actually bring Alchemy up, we've actually got this down for the movement. So the movement is actually on the modulation. So if we move this up and down, you can see it moves there. But we've also got it assigned to this dial here. So if we can move this dial, and it controls it as well. So you can either do it that way or do it that way as well. Now the great thing is, of course, if you know what the CC number is for that particular dial or pad, you can just change it in the software here and you're up and running. The nice thing with the software, you can see actually on the pitch you've got self-return, which we've done here. So of course it's set like that by default. So as you let go, it'll return, but you can do it in so many milliseconds. So maybe you want it to return a little bit later if you've got guitar sounds or string sounds. It's quite useful to delay that a little bit longer. So then you go, yeah, it brings it back to the beginning. The other thing you've got actually built in is an arpeggiator. So you've actually got an ARP right here and a tap tempo. You've got fixed velocity or note repeat. So if I tap on the ARP one here, that's actually coming from the keyboard, not Logic. So that's really, really handy. So we can change things. We can change the tempo. We can also change the type. We can change the swing type or the type of arpeggiator that it is. So we can actually change this over. So we've got up, down, exclusive, inclusive. We've got random. So let's go over to random. That's changing it there. If we go over to, let's go back to up. The other thing as well is you've got here, you've got ARP octaves and you've also got the swing. So we can actually go to octave 3. So let's do that now. So it's adding 3 octaves on, and we can also change the swing. So let's go to 59%. Now, of course, all these things are happening from the TempoKEY themselves. We're actually just sending that MIDI information to Alchemy, and Alchemy's just playing it. We've also got dedicated transpose and octave buttons, so we can transpose up. We can keep going, and then we can obviously go down, and we've also got octaves up and down as well, so... So 4 octaves up is the highest, and I think it's the same on the way down. Oh, that's low. Now this dial here is dependent on what you do with it. So this actually is volume by default. So if I was to just turn that down, it goes from 0 to 127 because it's MIDI volume. So it's actually not the velocity. So I can actually bring this down to say 80. And I can still play with the velocity, so the velocity's still there. Now, all you need to do to get more functionality out of this is just to tell Logic what these buttons are and what MIDI CC number there is, and you can start using it straight away. Now, the nice thing as well is I've just moved over to the drums just to show you these are also velocity sensitive as well as the keys. So, try to press them as lightly as possible. Yeah, the great thing as well is, of course, this is separate from the DAW. So we could say, well, I wanted the open hi-hat to be pad 8, which it currently isn't. So if I go over to the pad bank and I find out where it is, there it is, pad 3 on B, which is, so it's A sharp 2. So I'm going to change pad A, I'm going to change this over to A sharp 2. So if I go to A sharp 2 instead, and then I'm just going to send that over to the hardware, that's changed it. So of course you can just change that really quickly without actually altering your digital audio workstation, whether it's Logic or Cubase or whatever you're using. So this is a great keyboard from our friends at Synido. Now, The thing is, you've actually got this in the purple and you've got it in the black, and it currently retails at $119, but right now it's actually down to $99. However, we have a 10% code off the black one. So Synido has very kindly done this for us. So if you actually want to grab the black one, you can get 10% off through the Amazon link that is underneath this video. But the other thing as well is ourselves and Synido have partnered up to actually give one of these away. Now, a couple of rules about the giveaway. It's only for the UK and the US. So if you're in the UK and US, you can actually join this giveaway. And there's only 3 things you need to do. Number 1, be a subscriber of this channel. So if you haven't yet subscribed to JohnPaulMusicUK, please subscribe. The second thing you need to do is go and find Synido Tech. Again, there's a link in the description box, and you need to be subscribed to their YouTube channel as well. And the final thing you need to do to win one of these is actually put a comment under this video, and that's it. And what I'm going to do is we're going to make sure that you're subscribed to both channels, and of course you've written that comment. We'll gather up the entries, and then we're going to give one of these away on a live stream. It's actually going to be March the 27th. We'll announce the winners on March the 27th. So you've got until March the 26th to get in for a giveaway. So make sure you're subscribed to both my channel and Synido's channel as well. And I want to say a massive thank you to Synido for obviously sending this out to me to have a play with. Now, if you haven't actually seen the video of the TempoPAD, which is what they made first, that's this video right here, and go and check out how we actually paired the TempoPAD up to a Boss RC600, and you can do it with the RC500 to actually play the drums that are inside that loop station.